You were once taught, resist this life, fight with resilience, push yourself forward, fix everything until it becomes perfect. They told you that peace would come on the day your work runs smoothly, your partner understands you, your past stops haunting you. But if that were truly the case, why do you still feel weary after every effort? Why, amidst so many achievements, does your heart still feel heavy? Perhaps it is because we have been mistaken. Human beings are accustomed to the mindset of conditional happiness. We often tell ourselves, when I achieve this, only then will I have peace. When that pain finally ends, only then will I be able to smile. But as the Buddha reminded us, no one can give us peace except ourselves. Do not search for it outside. When we believe happiness lies in the future, in conditions that must first be fulfilled, we unknowingly turn life into an endless chase. We run after the shadow of peace, but never touch it. Have you ever noticed that your own mind is the noisiest place of all? Busy work may tire our hands, but the endless stream of thoughts is what truly exhausts us. We think about past mistakes, unfinished tasks, fears that have not yet arrived. And so we lose sleep, lose appetite, lose the stillness in each moment. The Buddha said, "The mind is the root of all things." When the mind is at peace, all is at peace. Yet we often abandon our mind, letting it drift in the storms of past and future. The saddest part is that we were taught to fight life instead of learning how to move with it. We try to fix everything, even things beyond our control. We want to control others, change fate, bend time. And every time we fail, we feel small, useless, even blaming ourselves. But as a Zen master once said, if you try to control the waves, you will exhaust yourself. Learn instead how to surf them. Wisdom does not lie in resisting life, but in flowing with it, like water finding its way back to the ocean. Try stopping right now. Relax your shoulders. Gently close your eyes. Take a deep breath in and breathe out. Do you notice that in each breath, not lose anything, but instead you feel lighter? Peace is not sitting on a high mountain cut off from life. Peace is not about erasing all difficulties. Peace is simply the way you face daily life. It is when work overwhelms you and yet you can slow down your breath. It is when someone hurts you and you choose forgiveness instead of resentment. It is when you notice a small flower by the roadside and realize that simple joy still exists. Happiness is not in some faraway place. It is hidden in the smallest details if you are willing to pause and look deeply. You can keep running, keep fighting, but one day your heart will call out, enough. That call is not weakness. It is the sign that you are ready for another journey, the journey of returning to yourself, returning to the breath, returning to each step, returning to the silence within, where there is no judgment, no chasing. And then you will realize happiness has never been out of reach. It was only waiting for you to stop searching outside and turn back inward. We were taught to live like warriors, always bracing ourselves against life. But the truth is, life is not an enemy to be defeated. It is a river, and we only need to learn how to flow with it. Peace does not come from having everything outside align with our wishes, but from the ability to release lightly, to smile with what already is. As the Buddha said, be a lamp unto yourself. Return to take refuge in your own being, and that is the very first step of the journey towards serenity, a journey that will open many new pages in this book. There is a story humanity has whispered to itself, generation after generation, that happiness only comes when we have fulfilled certain conditions, that peace only blossoms when work has become stable, when the one we love truly understands us, when painful memories no longer pierce our hearts. It is a sweet myth, but also the greatest trap in life. From the time we were children, we were taught to strive so that one day happiness would arrive. In school, we heard, study hard, and then you will be free. At work, we heard, hire one. If happiness depends on such perfection, we will never arrive. We also believe that if our loved ones, our friends, our partner could truly understand us, then our hearts would be at ease. But consider this. Is there anyone in this world who can fully understand us? Even we ourselves often do not understand who we are, our changes, our contradictions, the shadowed corners never yet named. To place our happiness in the hands of another's understanding is like placing a treasure in the hands of a passerby. It will always leave us disappointed, for no one can fulfill that role completely. The Buddha taught, "You are your own refuge." Who else could be your refuge? True understanding begins only when we learn to turn inward and listen deeply to ourselves. Some live bound to memory, believing that only when past wounds are erased will happiness finally arrive. They wait for the day when memories no longer ache, wait for a night of sleep unvisited by dreams of what is past. But the truth is, the past does not disappear. It remains as part of the journey. What can change is not the past itself, but the way we behold it. A scar will never vanish, but it can become a testament to healing, to the strength we have already carried. If we wait for the past to fade before living, we will miss the present flowing by, moment after moment. And then, even when we have a stable job, a companion by our side, even when memories grow less heavy, still we find ourselves weary. Still there are restless nights, colorless days. Still there is a hollow space that nothing seems to fill. Here lies the truth that few dare to face. Happiness does not depend on external conditions. We may attain it all, yet if the inner self is tangled in confusion, craving, fear, peace will always remain distant. Imagine conditional happiness as a crystal vase, beautiful yet fragile. One misfortune, losing a job, losing a loved one, unsettle you. But it is also the doorway to a new journey, the journey of freedom, of the quiet joy already present within. The Buddha once declared, "Peace does not come from satisfying every desire, but from letting go of desire." When we no longer condition happiness, we finally step onto the true path of peace. The myth of conditional happiness has nourished generations, but has also led countless souls astray. We believe that only by achieving this, overcoming that, we would finally live in serenity. But reality shows us, no matter how much we possess, our hearts remain weary if healing has not yet begun within. And perhaps now it is time to pause, to look deeply, and to begin writing a different story. A story in which happiness is no longer a distant destination, but a way of being. Deep within every human being, there lies an ancient habit: resistance. We resist what goes against our will, resist unpleasant emotions, resist unexpected events, and at times, even resist our very own selves. From childhood, we learn to push back against pain. A child cries out when falling, then quickly tries to forget the sting for a fleeting moment. As we grow, that resistance does not vanish. It becomes more subtle, more refined. It manifests in our thoughts, our actions, in the way we face life itself. When a rainy day arrives, we silently blame the sky for being damp. When a harsh word reaches our ears, we immediately build a wall of defense. When a painful memory resurfaces, we rush to push it away. Our mind rarely accepts things as they are. It always wants something different. The sky to be sunnier, others to be gentler, ourselves to be stronger. The Buddha once said, "It is resistance to what is that gives rise to suffering." Suffering does not only come from events themselves, but from the attitude we bring to those events. Each time we resist, an undercurrent swells within us. That wave may carry the names anger, anxiety, sadness, or fear. The harder we push the wave away, the more exhausted we become. Imagine a person struggling in the ocean. The more they panic, the more they wage against our own inner experiences. A sadness arises, we resist. An anger flares up, we resist. A fear approaches, we resist. And so we live in constant tension, like a warrior always in battle. It is no wonder our body and spirit grow weary. In the Four Noble Truths, the Buddha declared, "Life is suffering." But he did not stop there. He pointed out the root of suffering: craving, aversion, delusion, and attachment. Resistance is a form of attachment. We cling to the wish that things must be different. And when reality does not bend to that wish, we fall into pain. Instead of allowing sadness to come and go, we hold it in place through resistance. Instead of letting anger pass like a drifting cloud, we bind it tighter by pushing back against it. In this way, we tie ourselves to our own suffering. Some may fear, if I accept everything, will I not become passive, indifferent to life? But acceptance is not surrender. Acceptance is to look directly at truth instead of fighting against it. Only when we accept, "I am sad," can we embrace that sadness and begin to heal. Only when we accept, "That person has hurt me," can we find a path toward forgiveness or the strength to walk away. Acceptance is the doorway to transformation. Resistance only prolongs the darkness. Look back at your life. How many times have you been drained, not because of an event itself, but because of your resistance to it? A small argument, and you carry it for weeks. An old memory, and you resist it for years. A fear, and you let it gnaw at your every sleep. The price of resistance is your very peace. Little by little, you lose the ability to enjoy the present moment, for the mind is always busy fighting what already is. The Buddha taught, when the mind is peaceful, the world too is at peace. When resistance falls away, the mind becomes soft, like a still lake. Even when stones are thrown in, they only create ripples that fade into silence. Letting go is not abandoning life, but opening the heart. Letting within, to see it, to recognize it, to soften into it. That is the first step back to the peace that has always been here. In the previous chapter, we saw that resistance itself is the root that makes us weary. The more we fight, the more exhausted we become. So what is the path to step out of that spiral? The answer is disarmingly simple: letting go. In this world, we often believe that strength means constant striving, tension, and relentless effort. A strong person, according to conventional wisdom, is one who never bends, who always fights, who always stands firm against the storms. But the truth is different. Like a bamboo tree, bamboo does not break when the storm comes because it knows how to bow. It knows how to yield, to follow the direction of the wind, and when the storm passes, it still stands tall. If bamboo were rigid like a log of wood, it might have snapped long ago. But because it knows how to bend, how to let go, bamboo endures. Human beings are the same. True strength does not arise from stiffness, but from suppleness. Many people fear letting go because they believe letting go means losing, means weakness, means giving up. But letting go in the spirit of the Dharma is not surrender. It is awakening. Letting go does not mean inaction. Letting go means no longer clinging to results, no longer being enslaved by the compulsion to control. The Buddha once taught, letting go does not mean loss, but freedom. Freedom from worry, from craving, from the weight of forcing everything to bend to our will. In the current of life, we are taught to always push harder, always reach further. Yet the paradox is this: the harder we push, the more tense we become. The more we strain, the further we drift from peace. Only when we relax, when we pause for a single breath, when we accept that this moment is already enough, does another kind of strength reveal itself. Imagine a person swimming in a fierce current. The more they thrash, the more quickly they are swept away, the more exhausted they become. But if they know to lie back, to release, to let their body gently accept, this too is part of life. Acceptance does not erase pain in an instant, but it removes the root of suffering, resistance. And when we are no longer stretched thin by resistance, a deeper steadiness begins to arise. The Buddha once said, "Accept all things as they are. When the mind rests, the world also rests." Some chase success only to feel emptier with each achievement. But those who pause, who accept themselves with all imperfections, often find a deeper joy. Some cling tightly to love only to make it break apart, but when they release control, love blooms naturally. Some battle against fear only to be haunted more, but when they dare to face it and accept it, fear slowly dissolves. This paradox is woven into life. Only when we let go do we truly receive. In meditation, one does not sit in order to reach some extraordinary state. One sits simply to sit, to breathe, to let go of every demand. And the paradox unfolds. Precisely when we are not chasing peace, peace arises on its own. Precisely when we stop trying to control the breath deepens and softens. Precisely when we no longer struggle to drive away thoughts, the mind grows still. The strength of meditation comes not from forcing, but from letting go. In the Dhammapada, the Buddha teaches, let go of what does not belong to you. When you release, you will find peace. This is the reminder that true strength is not found in grasping, but in the capacity to release. If the previous chapter revealed resistance as the root of suffering, then here we encounter the paradox. Strength does not come from adding one more effort, but from laying down the old burden. Letting go takes nothing away. It returns to us the most precious treasure, inner freedom. From this freedom, we live more lightly, more firmly grounded, and stronger than any form of tension could ever make us. Letting go, at once paradox and truth. We think that they define who we are. The Buddha once taught, just as an arrow shot into the air leaves no trace, so too does the calm mind, free from grasping, remain untroubled by passing thoughts. Thoughts are like that arrow, arriving, then vanishing. Only we are the ones who clutch them tightly, turning them into burdens. Try sitting down in stillness. Close your eyes. Release a long breath. When a thought appears, perhaps a sadness, a memory, or an anxiety, simply smile and name it. Ah, there is a white cloud, or a dark cloud just passed by. No need to chase it away, no need to cling. We simply acknowledge it comes and it goes. The sky does not disappear because of clouds. The mind is not forever disturbed because of thoughts. Through such practice, little by little, we see clearly. We are not drowned in the clouds. We are the vast sky that contains them all. Whether clouds are there or not, the sky remains whole. Whether thoughts are present or not, our luminous nature has never been harmed. Here lies the paradox. We once believed that peace comes from controlling and banishing every thought. But in truth, peace arises when we allow every thought the freedom to come and go, like clouds drifting through the sky. No forcing, no struggle, only sitting still, breathing slowly, and seeing clearly. There is a line in the Samyutta Nikaya. The mind is like space, unattached, unbound. That spaciousness is our very foundation. Thoughts are only ripples on the surface of a lake. If we stare only at the ripples, we forget that the lake is quietly still beneath. If we fix our gaze only on the clouds, we forget that the sky remains vast and clear. Remember a sunny day when you lifted your head to the sky. At first, your eyes saw only clouds, but if you waited a little, the clouds gradually parted and the blue sky revealed itself. In truth, the sky was never lost, only hidden for a time. The mind is the same. Peace has never left us. It is only momentarily veiled by clouds of thought. That is why, instead of chasing after each fragment, longer feel like victims of the stream of thoughts. Instead, we become the witness, serene amidst all movements. This is the power of stillness. The Buddha once said, "No one can defile us except our own mind." Thoughts themselves are not defiled. Only when we cling, grasp, or argue with them do we become entangled. If we learn to see thoughts as clouds, we will realize there is nothing to resist, nothing to hold. And so, every breath, every moment of sitting quietly becomes a homecoming, a return to the vast sky within, a return to the serenity that has always been here. We have journeyed from resisting to letting go, and now to observing. All paths lead to the same point, abiding in the spacious, silent nature of mind. When we truly see that clouds are only clouds, only then are we truly free. Here is the English translation of your text, preserved in the meditative, contemplative style you've asked for. The cadence remains gentle, spacious, and faithful to the original meaning, without shortening or omitting any content. When we begin to realize that the mind is like the sky, and thoughts are nothing more than passing clouds, another truth slowly reveals itself. We neither need to, nor can we, rewrite the entire script of our lives. People often believe that if only they could rearrange every scene, a more perfect job, more fulfilling relationships, a past erased, a brighter future, then peace would finally come. Our mind becomes like a restless scriptwriter, endlessly revising, rewriting, adding, and subtracting details. in the hope of creating a perfect version of life. Yet the more we write, the more we adjust, the more we hope, the further we drift from the life that is actually unfolding in this very moment. The Buddha once taught, "The past has gone, the future has not yet come. Only the present moment is our true dwelling place." Reality has its own rhythm, like a river that flows on its own, like the wind that blows freely. We cannot command the wind to change direction, nor can we order the river to stop flowing. But we can us. Nothing can ever satisfy the thirst of craving. Like salty water, the more you drink, the thirstier you become. Life is the same. The more we try to rewrite and reshape it to satisfy ourselves, the less we ever feel enough. But when we pause, when we abide in the present, we discover reality already contains every lesson, every shade of color, everything we need to grow. Observe nature. Trees do not need to rewrite the script for the seasons. Spring comes, tender leaves sprout. Summer arrives, the heat intensifies. Autumn passes, golden leaves fall. Winter comes, branches stand bare. No season is redundant, no season is lacking. The rhythm flows naturally, needing no revision. Human beings, too, have their seasons. Seasons of blossoming, seasons of stillness, seasons of loss, seasons of renewal. When we know how to move with these rhythms, we no longer blame nor demand. Some may ask, but if we don't rewrite or adjust, aren't we giving up? Number. Giving up is abandonment. Acceptance is awakening. A person who accepts life's rhythm is no longer thrashing in ignorance, but lives fully, moment by moment, with clarity and compassion. It is this acceptance that opens the door to transformation. Natural, gentle, yet enduring. Imagine stepping into a river. If you fight against it, swimming upstream, you exhaust yourself. But if you learn to swim with the current, using your strength skillfully, you can still guide your direction without breaking harmony with the river. Life is the same. When we move with it, we still have the freedom to choose, but those choices no longer come from fear or compulsion. They arise from wisdom and stillness. The Buddha once said, "Whoever lives in harmony with the Dharma lives in harmony with the way." Dharma here is not only the teaching, but also the natural law, the rhythm of the universe. Everything has its time, its place. The more we try to cut away or add on, the further we stray from truth. In practice, we can begin with very small add, nothing to take away, just breathing. And within that simple breath, you are already moving in rhythm with the universe. So, do not waste your strength trying to rewrite the entire script of your life. Let life tell its own story. Our only task is to listen, to dwell in it, and to walk in its music, with steady steps and with an open heart. When we learn not to rewrite the script of our lives, a new door opens. We begin to clearly see the scripts that never belonged to us, but were planted by society. These are the standards of success, of perfection, of a proper life that we thought we must achieve at all costs. From childhood, we have been told the same lines over and over. You must study well to be successful. You must have a stable job to feel secure. You must marry, have children, buy a house, buy a car, to be considered complete. You must prove yourself better than others to be worthy of respect. Those words, little by little, became a script, and we acted it out to the point of believing that it was truly ourselves. But ask yourself, after reaching a milestone that society calls success, have we ever truly felt lasting peace? Usually the answer is no. Joy comes for a fleeting moment. Then a new pressure arises. You need more, you need better, you need higher. It is like a play without an ending, where the audience is public opinion, the director is invisible standards, and we keep running to fulfill the role. The Buddha once reminded, one who lives chasing after the desires of the world is like a dry leaf blown by the wind. That person has no freedom. When we live like a leaf carried by the wind, wherever the wind blows, there we drift. That wind is none other than the expectations, demands, and pressures of society. There are people who spend their entire lives chasing success in the eyes of others, yet when they are alone facing themselves, they feel empty. Because what they have done never came from their own heart, but only to perform a role in a script already written. The strange thing is that society's script is often built upon illusion. Freedom, not because we are being pulled along. The Buddha offered a very profound teaching. Be an island unto yourself. Be a refuge unto yourself. As long as we depend on external recognition, we will remain restless. Only when we see the true nature of the role and no longer identify ourselves with it can we truly be in control. In daily life, you can try a small practice. When a thought arises such as, I must be more successful than that person, I must be more beautiful, more talented, richer, pause for a moment and ask, is this the voice of my true heart, or is it the script of society? If you see it as just a programmed line of dialogue, you can smile. Ah, just another line. That alone begins to untie the rope that binds you. It is not easy to step out of the script that society has planted since we were children. But each moment of awakening, each moment of clear seeing, brings us closer to our true essence. Remember, we do not need to destroy the stage. We only need not to identify with the role. When still acting, we act fully, but deep inside, we know we are not that role. Just like an actor who may play a king, a clown, or a sufferer, but in their heart, they know who they are. That is freedom. Freedom is not leaving life, but living within life, without being swept away by it. Living among countless scripts, yet letting none of them define who we truly are. And so, when we awaken to society's script, we can step into a new chapter, living true to ourselves, not needing to be greater than anyone, not needing to be lesser than anyone, simply returning to the nature that is already pure, already complete. Perhaps never before have we walked as much as we do now, yet never before have we been so far removed from our own footsteps. We rush after work, chase deadlines, frantically search for a place in society. Our feet move without pause, but our mind is absent. We walk without knowing we are walking. We arrive without truly being present. And it is this absence that makes life feel empty, ungrounded, lacking a foundation of peace. The Buddha once taught, walk as if you are kissing the earth with your feet. Too busy, but it is precisely in busyness that we need mindfulness the most. For mindfulness is not an extra task, but a way of returning. Instead of walking like someone running away, we walk like someone coming home. Instead of seeing the step only as a means to an end, we see the step as life itself, as a practice. Each step becomes a gentle reminder, I am alive, I am breathing, I am still here on this earth. One of the great paradoxes of life is this. We keep thinking peace lies somewhere far away at some destination. But peace does not wait for us at the end of the road. It is present in every step. Each relaxed, steady step is a piece of peace. Each mindful step is a silent smile of the earth and sky. Try slowing down. Each time you place your foot on the ground, you can softly say, resting. As you lift your foot, you softly say, free. Step by step, this becomes a rhythm of meditation, carrying you back to your body and mind. Whether you are walking in a park, down an office hallway, or simply from one room to another, you can still practice. Mindfulness requires no special space, no spare time. It only requires presence. When the mind is full of worry, mindful steps are like a gentle hand pulling you back. You will see, those worries are just passing clouds. But the step you place on the earth is solid ground. No matter how stormy the mind becomes, each mindful step keeps you here in the safest place, the present. The Buddha once reminded, do not chase after the past, do not long for the future. Dwell in the present. And what practice could be more concrete than returning to each step? You do not need to force yourself to push away memories, nor struggle to banish fears. You only need to walk and know you are walking. Step by step, the invisible chains that bind the mind begin to loosen. Walking in mindfulness is also a way to honor life. Each step is a touch upon Mother Earth, a meeting between our body and the universe. If we can walk with love and appreciation, then even the path we walk is healed. Instead of a single mindful step, you have already stepped into the land of peace. We often hear the word karma with a certain sense of dread. Many people see karma as a rigid destiny, as a verdict already pronounced, unchangeable. They think, I suffer because of my karma. I am unhappy because fate has decided so. This very way of seeing makes people heavy, powerless, living with resignation. But the Buddha never taught us in that way. He made it clear karma is not a punishment, nor is it an unalterable fate. Karma is simply the natural consequence of habits and actions. Whatever seed is sown, that fruit will be reaped. If we regularly sow seeds of anger and irritability, it is no surprise that our lives are full of conflict and exhaustion. If we cultivate habits of fear and suspicion, our life will be filled with the shadows of insecurity. But by the same principle, if we sow seeds of understanding and love, sweet fruits will naturally appear. Karma is not something mysterious or far away. It is the natural trajectory formed by the habits we create, day by day, hour by hour. Just notice, a person with a habit of complaining who looks at life with negativity wherever they go will always find reasons to be dissatisfied. In contrast, a person with a habit of gratitude, even when life is imperfect, still discovers joy in small things. The same reality, yet the fruits they receive are entirely different. That is karma. There is no God standing behind the scenes to reward or punish. It is our very habits that shape the world we live in. This opens up an important light. Karma is not sealed shut. It is flexible. It can change. And the key lies right in this present moment, where we are still sowing new seeds every minute, every second. If you realize you have been living in anxiety, then now, with a single mindful breath, you are already planting a different seed, the seed of awareness. If you used to sow seeds of haste and recklessness, then now, with a single gentle step, you are creating a new path for your soul. The Buddha once said, all beings are the owners of their karma, the heirs of their karma, born of their karma, bound wholesome trees to water the seeds of understanding and love. That garden will become a peaceful place. Karma is not a sentence. It is a garden. And whether that garden is lush or barren depends entirely on how we care for it each day. Someone may ask, if that is so, why have I done many good deeds yet still encounter suffering? The answer lies here. Karma is not only what you do in this present moment. It is a continuous stream flowing from past to present. Some seeds you planted long ago are only ripening now. But do not be discouraged. Right now, you are still planting new seeds. And surely, if you continue sowing goodness, one day the sweet fruit will come. Perhaps not immediately, but never lost. That is why understanding karma helps us stop blaming and stop complaining. We no longer put fault on fate or on others. We look straight at the truth. This fruit comes from past causes, and if we want different fruits, we must sow different seeds. True freedom begins right there, when we take responsibility for our own lives, when we sit down, take a deep breath, and smile. We are doing something small yet powerful. We are transforming karma. We are changing the direction of habit. Each time we choose patience instead of irritation, choose listening instead of arguing, choose love instead of anger, we are rewriting the trajectory of our karma, not through a grand revolution, but through small actions repeated again and again until the new habit becomes natural. There is great comfort in understanding. We are not bound by destiny. We are not helpless victims. We are the builders, laying each brick of our lives. And every day, we have the chance to place a new brick. Therefore, instead of sitting in fear of bad karma, let us begin to sow wholesome karma in the smallest things. A gentle word, a mindful step, a kind smile. They may seem simple, but they hold the power to change the entire flow of life. Karma is not an unchanging darkness. It is like a river. An achievement. We worry that tomorrow it may vanish. We assume happiness comes from obtaining, but in truth, the more attached we are, the more fragile our happiness becomes. For the root of attachment is the fear of loss. The Buddha once taught, from affection arises grief. From affection arises fear. Whoever is free from affection knows no grief, no fear. This statement is simple, yet it holds profound wisdom. Whenever the mind clings tightly to anything, even something beautiful, at the same time it has already planted the seed of worry and unease. Think back for a moment. Have you ever held on to a beautiful memory so tightly that you did not want it to fade? And yet, precisely because you clung to it, you felt even more regret, even more sorrow when it did not return. Or when you achieved a great success, you rejoiced for a moment, but immediately after, a new pressure arose. How to keep it? How to prevent it from slipping away? Right in the moment of attachment, the seed of suffering has already been sown. This does not mean we must deny every joy or turn away from life. On the contrary, the lesson lies here. Enjoy without identifying, love without grasping. When we drink a cup of tea, it is enough simply to know we are savoring its flavor. We do not need to worry whether the tea will be gone tomorrow, or lament that the fragrance will fade. Simply live fully in the present moment. That is true freedom. So how can we escape the cycle of resistance attachment? The answer does not lie in trying to let go or forcing ourselves to renounce, because the harder we try, the more tightly we bind ourselves. The way out is much simpler. Just observe. When a thought arises, I must keep this, or I cannot lose that. Instead of chasing it, step back half a step. simply recognize, ah, this is a thought of attachment. This is a habit of the mind. Then, without resisting, without clinging, just sit quietly and watch it come and go. Just like clouds drifting across the sky, no cloud can cover the sky forever. When practicing this, you will discover a truth. Those things that once weighed heavily on you gradually not come from grasping, but from letting go. Thus, liberation from the cycle of resistance attachment is not about abandoning life, but about abandoning mistaken identification. You can still love someone, but without turning them into your possession. You can still enjoy success, but without chaining your life to maintaining one glory. You can still cherish memories, but without letting them overshadow the present. That is the art of living freely. Each time the mind wants to resist or cling, pause, breathe, and smile. Breathe to realize that you are still alive. Smile to remind yourself that there is nothing to hold or push away. Everything is a flow, and we are simply the witness. The Buddha once compared, this body is like a bubble, this mind is like a mirage. When we truly understand this, we no longer see things as eternal. Instead, we learn to move with life, not against it, not clutching at it. And when the cycle of resistance attachment dissolves, we will see a new space open within. It is calm, gentle, and serene. A peace that does not arise from possessing more, nor from fighting against, but from the freedom of seeing everything just as it is. In the previous chapter, we clearly saw the spiral of resistance and attachment, that endless loop which drowns human beings in fear and suffering. When we dare to step back, simply observing without identifying, the mind gradually becomes free. And from that foundation, another truth reveals itself, a fundamental truth of all phenomena in life. Everything is impermanent. Try pausing for a moment, placing your hand on your chest and listening to your own breath. Breathing in, breathing out. Clearly, each breath comes and goes. No breath remains forever. If you try to hold on to one breath, you will suffocate. If you try to push it out quickly, you will also suffer. Yet, if you simply let the breath unfold naturally, arriving when it arrives, leaving when it leaves, you will feel the lightness and spaciousness of life itself. Impermanence is the same. It is not a dry philosophical concept. It is a truth that unfolds immediately. You also cannot force it. But if you clearly see that the rain comes and goes, you will simply smile, grateful that life is in motion. Life is like that too. People arrive, then depart. Relationships blossom, then wither. Achievements one day become memories. That is why, instead of forcing life to stay as we desire, we learn to cherish each moment while it is still here. The greatest suffering of human beings comes from the illusion that everything can remain unchanged. We want youth to stay, loved ones to never leave, happiness to stay intact. But the truth is different. Youth passes, loved ones one day go, and happiness transforms. When we cling to what cannot be held, we only bring suffering upon ourselves. Yet, when we recognize impermanence, an extraordinary lightness arises. We know that today's sorrow will pass, that the fire of anger will cool, that today's failure does not determine our whole life. We also know that the joy we have, a peaceful afternoon, a tender smile, a family meal, will not last forever, and thus we treasure it more, live it more fully. Try applying this in daily life. When you are angry at someone, instead of believing that this anger will last forever, remind yourself this is just an impermanent feeling, and you will see it fade like a cloud drifting out of the sky. When you are overly joyful, instead of trying to hold on to that joy, smile and say, "This too is impermanent," and you will feel your heart lighten, no longer afraid of losing it. There is a verse in the scriptures. Breathing in, I know I am alive. Breathing out, I smile. Dwelling here, in this present moment, I see impermanence, and my heart is at ease. Each breath is a lesson on impermanence. It reminds us that nothing stays, but it also reminds us that we are still here, in life. And simply by living fully in each breath, we touch freedom. Impermanence is not an enemy. It is a great friend. Thanks to impermanence, we have the chance to change, the capacity to let go, the hope that today's suffering will pass. If everything were permanent, humans would be trapped in suffering forever. But thanks to to cherish without clinging. Ultimately, impermanence does not take away our peace. On the contrary, when we truly see impermanence, we are finally at peace. For there are no more illusions, no more resistance, no more attachments, only life flowing on and a soul free and at ease. There is a very deep habit in the mind, the habit of constantly labeling everything. A thought arises, and immediately we call it bad, negative. A fleeting emotion appears, and we hastily label it unpleasant, should not exist. A person shows up before us, and we quickly place them into the frame of likable or disagreeable. Judgment functions like a second breath of the mind. It is so familiar that we mistake it for our true nature. Yet in truth, judgment is only a habit, shaped by social standards, by past experiences, and by the craving to control everything. When the Buddha taught about right view, he once reminded, "See things as they are, neither adding nor subtracting." It is there that we begin to learn the art of letting go of judgment. Imagine this. Across the vast sky, clouds drift naturally. Some are pure white, light as cotton. Others are heavy gray masses, heralding a storm. If we keep obsessively dividing them into good clouds and bad clouds, beautiful clouds and ugly clouds, we will exhaust ourselves while changing nothing. But when we simply sit still, relax the eyes, we suddenly realize they are all just clouds, and the sky has never been confined by such labels. In the same way, our mind is the sky. Thoughts, emotions, circumstances, they are but passing clouds. We do not need to force them into right or wrong. They come and they go in their own rhythm. If we observe carefully, judgment always carries within it the seed of resistance. When we call an experience terrible, we instantly want to push it away. When we label a person bad, we immediately build a wall of separation. When we brand something as should not be, we unknowingly chain ourselves to tension. That is why letting go, our heart is no longer heavy with condemnation. We can act wisely, but without being ruled by resentment. When a failure happens, instead of quickly stamping it horrible, we look quietly. It is only inexperience bringing us a lesson. Without the label bad, we have space to learn, to grow. Letting go of judgment is returning to an innocent way of seeing. Like a child gazing at the world, a flower is just a flower. The rain is simply the rain. No need to add beautiful or ugly. When we return to such seeing, our mind feels light, no longer weighed down by countless labels. We can begin practicing in small things. When drinking tea, instead of thinking, this tea is good, that tea is bad, simply enjoy the bitterness, the sweetness spreading across the tongue. When walking on the street, instead of labeling this person is kind, that person is irritating, just see them walking just as we are walking. Little by little, the habit of judgment loosens. Little by little, we touch freedom in the very present moment. There is a verse in the Samyutta Nikaya that I often remember. As the lotus grows in mud, but is unstained by mud, so does the practitioner live in the world, yet remain unsoiled by it. Judgment is like worldly dust clinging to the mind. It makes everything heavy, turbid. But when we learn the art of letting go of judgment, the mind becomes clearer, like the lotus, still blooming, still pure, though mud surrounds it. The important thing is, we do not need to try to eliminate judgment completely. That very effort is itself another form of judgment, thinking judgment is bad, it must disappear. The art of letting go lies here. Recognize when judgment arises, smile at it, and let it drift away, like watching clouds cross the sky. No clinging, no chasing. Over time, the space between us and the labels grows wider. We no longer identify ourselves with them, and precisely in that spaciousness, freedom unfolds. If in the previous chapter we learned about impermanence, that everything comes and goes, then this chapter have seen clearly. Resistance and judgment only drain us further. Every time we label an emotion as bad, every time we build walls between ourselves and others, we imprison ourselves in an invisible cage. Yet there is always a door present, waiting for us to open it. That door is called love. Love is not a distant concept, nor merely a moral teaching. It is life energy, the substance of nourishment. Like sunlight that shines upon all beings, when love is present, darkness naturally dissolves. The Buddha once taught in the Metta Sutta, "May all beings be safe and happy. May none be despised. May none suffer." These words are not only to be chanted in temples, they are a compass for how we may live each day. Instead of resisting what is unpleasant, let us try to open our hearts. When anger flares up, we often rush to push it away, seeing it as an enemy. But when we shift our perspective, we realize anger is only a child crying inside us. It needs to be held, to be listened to. When we slow our breathing, when we say to our anger, "I know you are here. I will be here with you." In that very moment, anger begins to transform. Just as a child does not need to be scolded, but to be embraced, so too do our emotions. Love for ourselves is the first medicine of healing, and then comes the time to extend that love outward. When someone hurts us, our instinct is to build walls, even to strike back. But if we look deeper, we see that they too are victims of their own suffering. They act clumsily because they have not yet learned to embrace their inner wounds. When we see this, our hearts soften. Instead of resisting, we open. Not to excuse wrongdoing, but to keep from burning ourselves in hatred. Here, love itself is freedom. There is a story in the Buddhist texts about the Buddha being insulted and harshly scolded by a man. The Buddha sat still, without reacting. When the man stopped, the Buddha asked, "If someone offers a gift to you, and you do not accept it, to her rigid, easy to break, but love makes us soft, flexible, like water that can flow through countless channels, shaping itself in many forms without losing its essence. In life, everyone longs for peace, but peace does not come from eliminating all adversity. peace arises when our hearts are wide enough to embrace even what is unpleasant. Love opens that spaciousness. In mindful breathing, we can nurture love little by little. Breathing in, we know we are alive. Breathing out, we send kind energy to ourselves. May I be at ease. Breathing in, we remember a loved one. Breathing out, we send them a wish. May you be happy. And gradually we widen that circle to loved ones, to strangers, even to those who once hurt us. The breath becomes a bridge, carrying love everywhere. In the Metta Sutta, the Buddha taught, just as a mother protects her only child with her own life, so with boundless heart should one cherish all living beings. That love makes no distinction, no separation. It is like the sun that shines upon both roses and thorns, upon clear streams and muddy swamps. When our hearts learn to radiate in this way, suffering can no longer cling to us. If in the previous chapter we learned to let go of judgment, then this chapter is its natural continuation. Instead of labeling and resisting, we choose to open. Letting go brings partial freedom. Love is what truly soothes and transforms. Love is like cool water flowing into dry land. It softens the hardened places of the mind. It nourishes so that understanding and compassion may grow. And then, we ourselves are the first to taste the sweetness of its fruit. Let us look back at our own lives. Have we ever been exhausted not because the work was too heavy, but because our minds carried too much resistance? Have we ever suffered long not because circumstances were harsh, but because we kept feeding judgment? When we replace resistance with love, when we replace judgment with compassion, we begin to taste the sweetness of freedom. We control of your destiny. Such words may sound powerful, but at times they leave our hearts weary. In truth, life is not a race. It is more like a piece of music, sometimes low, sometimes high, at times slow, at times urgent. And what we need is not to control that music, but to learn how to listen and harmonize with it. The Buddha once said, "Do not chase after the future." Do not get lost in the past. Only by dwelling in the present can one truly live. That saying is the very doorway into life's natural rhythm. When we stop calculating too far ahead, stop grasping at what has not yet come, we begin to feel the flow of the present moment. Observe a river. It does not struggle to climb back up the mountain. It does not rush in haste to reach the sea sooner. It simply flows along the openings, down the natural slope, following what the earth and sky provide. Yet that very softness creates great power. It wears down solid rock, nourishes the plains, and carries fertile soil all the way to the ocean. So it is with human beings. When we live in harmony with the natural rhythm, we become enduring and profound. We do not exhaust ourselves by forcing, but allow natural energy to sustain us. But what does it mean to live in accord with nature? It does not mean passively resigning. It does not mean sitting idle, letting things be. Rather, it is an awakened way of living, knowing how to listen to the body, respecting our emotions, observing the interdependent arising of all things. When tired, we rest. When hungry, we eat. When the mind needs stillness, we allow ourselves some space. When conditions are ripe, we act. That's all. Yet so many find it difficult because the mind always wants to force, to push, to control. There is a verse in the Dhammapada. As a lotus rises from the mud, untouched by the stain of mud, so does one who lives in accord with the Dharma, remaining pure and serene amid the world. To live in accord with the Dharma is to live in harmony with nature, with dependent origination, with the inherent rhythm of all things. Then we are like the lotus, soft, humble, yet steadfast in our rising. In life, there will be many forcing. It comes when we truly let go, when we surrender ourselves to the rhythm of the breath. Mindfulness is the same. It is not about straining to empty the mind, but simply being aware. Each breath in and out, we know. Each step touching the ground, we know. That alone, and awareness gradually blossoms, like a flower opening in the morning light. Let us look at nature around us. No season forces another. Spring departs, summer arrives, autumn returns, winter comes, all following the rhythm of cycles. No grasping, no pushing. And it is precisely this rhythm that sustains the balance of all things. If we can live in that way, our heart too becomes a field of balance. We no longer run back and forth, chasing after what does not belong to us. We no longer resist what is inevitable. We allow everything to unfold according to conditions, while remaining steady on the path of awareness. The important thing is, living in accord with nature does not mean we are lazy. On the contrary, it requires us to live awake, to live true. Each action carries mindfulness. When working, we work wholeheartedly. When resting, we rest fully. When loving, we love with all our being. That is precisely gentle yet enduring. Water is soft, yet it can carve through rock. The wind is light, yet it can wear down mountains. A person who lives in accord with nature does not boast, yet carries immense inner strength. Looking back, all suffering arises from resistance, from wanting life to follow our will. But when we learn to live by life's natural rhythm, we see life already has its own beautiful melody. Our task is not to rewrite that song, but to listen and step in harmony. And so, we pass through this life with a serene heart, without haste, without regret. Each day is a note, each breath a beat. The whole of life becomes a symphony, in which we are both audience and co-singer. When we can live this way, we finally understand. Peace is not a reward at the end of the road, but the natural rhythm of each step we take. Like the river, quietly flow. You do not need to achieve anything more. You do not need to become someone else. You only need to return to the stillness that has always been within your heart. Do you realize that for so many years we have often promised ourselves, when I have a more stable job, I will be at peace. When I find a perfect relationship, I will be happy. When I resolve my past, I will be serene. And yet, when those things arrive, we still feel something is missing. The heart still restless. For the root of peace does not lie in controlling external conditions, but in the ability to return to the present. The present is often forgotten. Our minds tend to run toward the past, to regret, to blame, or to relive old wounds. Or the mind leaps into the future, full of worries, expectations, insecurities. But in truth, both past and future only exist as shadows within the mind. They are not really here. What is truly present is only this moment, this breath, this feeling. When you sit quietly and place your full attention in the present moment, you will realize you lack nothing. You do not need to wait for more conditions. You do not need to change anyone. You do not need to drive anything away. Right within this simple presence, you are already enough. Try observing the breath. Breathing in, you know you are breathing in. Breathing out, you know you are breathing out. You do not need to make the breath longer or shorter. Simply see it as it is. And within that awareness, a spacious openness arises. The mind is no longer dragged away by the endless chain of thoughts. The mind returns to the body, and you begin to taste a quiet, subtle peace. Liberation, in its deepest sense, is not that you attain some extraordinary state. It is not about climbing to a transcendent peak, nor about becoming a perfect version of yourself. Liberation is pausing, letting go of attachments, and resting in the stillness that has always been present within you. Recall an ordinary moment. You sit on the porch watching the rain fall, or you gaze at your child sleeping peacefully.
Here, whenever you remember to return, it is like a lake. When the wind rises, the surface ripples, unable to reflect anything clearly. But when the wind settles, the water becomes still and transparent, and the sky appears. Your mind is the same. When it is swept away by past, future, judgment, resistance, it becomes clouded. But when you rest in the present, the mind gradually settles, clears, and you can see the true nature of things. Perhaps you have experienced this. Sometimes you worry about something that is about to happen, but when it actually comes, it turns out not as serious as you imagined. All the worries you carried before were only shadows in the mind. If, at that time, you knew to pause, to return to the present, you might have suffered far less. Therefore, remember, the key does not lie in solving every problem, but in the capacity to return to the present. It is right here that you are free, and that freedom is not an escape from life. On the contrary, when you rest in the present, you live even more fully. You eat a meal and truly taste it. You listen to someone and truly hear, without rushing to respond. You work and remain present, not letting the mind scatter. Each small act becomes a practice, a doorway to peace. You see, liberation is not far away. It does not wait for tomorrow. It is here, in each breath, in each step, in each moment you dare to pause and truly live. When you realize this, you no longer chase after a perfect future. You are no longer imprisoned by the fears of the past. You see yourself as enough. You see everything as enough. And within that enoughness, there is a simple, lasting happiness. You do not need to become someone in order to have peace. You only need to be yourself in this present moment with a clear, knowing mind and without clinging. This is the path of liberation, not to gain more, but to let go, not to reach outward, but to turn inward, not to go anywhere far, but to return to the home of the present. And one